how do we do that? Here to help us figure it out is Kiana Danial. She is the CEO of Invest DIVA and author of the book, Invest Diva's Guide to Making Money in Forex. Good to have the Invest Diva with us on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Well, speaking of Wall Street gurus, financial genius Michael Burry, the guy that forecast the subprime crisis and made billions of it. His big thing now, his advice is invest in water.
Yep.
We all use it, we all need it. It's a no-brainer, right?
It's a no-brainer, I don't want to think of a day that we're going to trade water and it's becoming that scarce, but unfortunately, the global phenomena is actually leading us to treating water as a commodity, and we have to find ways to invest in water, actually.
All right, so how do we do that? What does that mean, invest in water? What type of water companies are there that we can get exposure to?
Right, so first of all, when we say invest in water, there are ways that we can indirectly invest in water. When you buy fruits, for example, you're already investing in water because those fruits need water in the farm, so those farmers are already buying water. So that is one way to indirectly invest in water. Anything that uses water to grow, that is investing in water indirectly. A more direct way to invest in water is not available to everybody, but is to have water rights. This one is not logistically available to every investor.
Right.
So the next best thing is to invest in the companies who have water rights.
So water utility companies, one way to play this. What about companies that bottle water, mineral water providers? What about companies that do the filtering of water? Is that another play?
So personally, I don't like the bottled waters because they're not good for the planet in the whole, and eventually that is going to lead into more problems. But my best pick is utility, water purification, water salinization, all these companies that help us bring the unusable 70% water on Earth, make it fresh into our cups.
Well, let's talk about desalination, because removing salt from seawater, that's where this is going. We see a lot of this in the Middle East. So which specific companies are doing this? How can we invest in that prospect?
There are plenty of companies that, one thing that you need to know about these kind of tech companies, you want to go local with them because water is very expensive to move. So one way to do this investment is to look for your local tech companies that do this. For people who don't have the time to do that, I normally go to the ETFs. So because you don't want to go and pick and see exactly which companies are doing that.
So you do suggest some ETFs,
Absolutely.
exchange traded funds, which is basically a basket, a collective basket of a number of companies. What are your favorite water ETFs then?
All right, so my favorite top pick is actually, I have two water ETFs that kind of diversify all throughout the water industry. One of them is PHO. So they have $860 million in assets, and their majority of holdings is on industrial water companies. And then another ETF that I have picked is CGW. They have 50 global water companies, so it's a little bit more diverse, and it follows an index that have the holding of companies that have sauce in water.
So let's talk about the elements in this basket. What makes up these ETFs? Which particular companies? Any specific individual ones that you highlight?
Right. So my favorite in the CGW ETF is American Water Works. So they're one of the largest water companies, and it's one of the heaviest elements of CGW ETF. And so that together with PHO kind of balances out in all over the sectors of water. Earlier, I talked about owning water rights. These ETFs also include those companies that own water rights. If you want to go individually to a specific stock that own water rights, for example, off the top of my head is Pico Holdings, which is the largest water rights owner in the state of Nevada, for example.
What do you mean by water rights owner?
So they are companies who have basically insurance and it can get very political. So you do the logistics that in that specific state or for your farm or whatever holding that you have the water rights that comes to your company, and you basically own, it's like an oil well.
All right, well, I'm glad you mentioned oil, because are we going to get to a time where water is treated like a commodity in the same way that oil is, or natural gas? Do you foresee that happening?
Unfortunately, yes. So with where we're going right now, population is growing at a very, very rapid pace, and also furthermore, we're seeing water pollution, radioactive elements spill into the water. So with that, I believe that we're going to see...
So we're going to have, like you would get delivery of barrels of oil, we're going to have a futures market where you get delivery of barrels of water.
Or seeing signs off the highway saying that today's price of water per gallon or something like that.
Well, the industry is currently worth around $500 billion. It's projected to rise exponentially. Where do you see it over the next 10 to 15 years?
It is going to, according to one estimate, it is going to double every few years. So that is the reason why I do believe that this is the time that you do want to get these stocks or ETFs. Right now, if you look at the charts, the prices are really, really low. And I believe that if you are into diversifying your portfolio, even if you have a small portfolio, you do want to have an element of water in it.
It does make sense, and of course the strategy would be buy and hold, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much, Kiana Danial, CEO of Invest DIVA.